Forming an operating company in Wyoming while working in California or any other state is a money pit. Here's where Wyoming actually belongs. I'm mapping out where your trust, holding company, and operating company should actually be registered so you stop paying double filing fees. If you have spent more than 5 minutes researching business setup online, you've seen the hype. Creators and online service providers love telling you to set up your business in Wyoming, Nevada, or Delaware. They promise instant privacy, tax protection, and total lawsuit protection, no matter where you live. So thousands of business owners pay the fees, get their Wyoming paperwork back, and think they've hit a legal shortcut. Then real life happens. They realize that filing a piece of paper across the country doesn't change where you actually wake up and do business every day. To see why this causes so much trouble, imagine setting up a mail forwarding box in another state. Imagine you live and work in Ohio. You hire a company to set up a P.O. box for you in Wyoming, and you tell everyone that your home address is officially in Wyoming. Well, does that change where your physical house sits? No. Does it change where your kids go to school? No. Does it change where you park your car, buy groceries, or drive on the local roads? Not at all. Your real life happens in Ohio. If you get into a car accident in your home driveway, telling the police officer that your mail gets sent to Wyoming doesn't change which state law applies to your accident. Your customers are still where they are. Your employees are still where they are. Your real daily responsibilities are still right where you sit. A different mailing address can certainly serve a specific purpose down the road, but setting up a distant P.O. box doesn't magically erase where your real business activities happen. When you first heard about out-of-state LLCs, it sounded like a genius move. You wanted to protect your privacy and keep your hard-earned money away from unnecessary fees. Falling for that advice doesn't mean you made a foolish mistake. It just means you were given half a strategy without the underlying structure. The idea wasn't completely wrong. States like Wyoming and Delaware really do offer incredible benefits. The mistake was putting the wrong piece of your business in that state. Your business didn't break. You just tried to use an advanced holding tool as your daily operational storefront. But before we map out where each entity actually belongs, I want to inform you about our structural exposure check linked in the description below. It takes less than 2 minutes and helps you determine whether the business you've built still fits the structure you currently have. Because choosing where to file without understanding your structure leads to double state fees and unnecessary paperwork. So, now that you know where to check to determine whether your structure still fits the business you've built, let's solve the state jurisdiction puzzle once and for all. Instead of forcing your entire business into one state, we use our 3-layer structure so every single layer sits in the exact state designed to maximize its strengths. First, let's talk about your operating company. This is the entity that signs contracts, hires employees, accepts payments, and interacts with customers. Your operating company should almost always be formed in your home state where you physically live and do business. Because if you form your operating company in Wyoming while running your business in California or Texas, your home state will force you to register as a foreign entity anyway. That means you end up paying filing fees, registered agent fees, and annual report costs in two separate states instead of one. Keep your operating company local to eliminate double filing traps. Second, we look at your holding company. This is where Wyoming, Nevada, and Delaware actually belong. Because your holding company does not interact with retail customers or hire daily staff, it's purely a vault holding passive assets like cash, intellectual property, and shares. Placing your holding company in a state like Wyoming gives you world-class privacy, powerful asset protection laws, zero income tax on the entity's passive holdings. This is also where a powerful rule called charging order protection comes into play. In states like Wyoming, if someone sues you personally over a personal issue like a car accident, a court creditor can't just reach in and break open your holding company to sell off your business assets. Instead, the law forces them to stand outside the door with a receipt. They're only allowed a charging order, meaning if you ever decide to pay money out, they get a cut. But since you control when payouts happen, you don't pay out a dime. The creditor gets zero control, zero assets, and ends up with a tax bill on money they never received. That forces them to settle on your terms. And finally, at the top layer, you have your trust. Your trust holds the shares of your Wyoming holding company. By setting up your trust in a jurisdiction built for strong estate protection, you create an invisible layer of privacy. Your name stays completely off public business registries, your estate bypasses costly probate courts, and your family wealth stays fully organized behind a secure legal curtain. And here's where the total anonymity kicks in. Most home states publish your full name and personal address on a public website for anyone, including lawyers, to look up in 2 seconds. But when a privacy-focused trust holds your Wyoming holding company, your personal name disappears from the public state database completely. A nominee or trustee is listed instead. And when someone tries to search who owns your business to see if you're worth suing, they hit a brick wall of privacy. So, now that you know where each entity belongs, let's highlight the 3 biggest mistakes business owners make with state filings. The first mistake is forming an out-of-state operating company thinking it lets you legally skip paying taxes in your home state. Tax authorities care about where the work is physically done. If you sit in Florida or New York doing the work, your home state expects its fair share regardless of where your piece of paper was printed. The second mistake is ignoring foreign qualification rules. If you run a business in your home state using a sole Wyoming LLC, you're technically operating an unregistered foreign business in your own backyard, which can lead to hefty penalties and voided contract rights in court. And the third mistake is choosing LLC states before building your actual structure. Selecting a state before deciding how your operating company, holding company, and trust connect is like buying furniture before you even have a blueprint for the house. Here's the central truth to remember from today's video. Location doesn't fix structure. Structure gives location its power. So when you place the right entity in the right state for the right reason, you stop wasting money on double filing fees and finally build a system that protects your business, your privacy, and your peace of mind. Now, I want to ask you a question. What state did you originally form your business in? And did you fall for the out-of-state hype when starting out? Drop your answer in the comments below. I love hearing your stories, and I jump in to reply to as many as I can. And if you want to keep mastering business structures without all the legal jargon, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our deep dives. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next breakdown.